Chicago, March 23, 2019. It was supposed to be a quiet night. A young officer, off duty, just 23 years old, sat inside his parked car in River North. Beside him, his girlfriend and two friends. They just finished a night out. Laughter, music, the glow of city lights. But within minutes, that peace would be shattered by gunfire. 8 rounds tore through the silence, and in the chaos that followed, an off-duty cop lay dying, mistaken for someone else. This is the story of a fatal mix of rage, revenge, and misidentification. A story that began at a McDonald's and ended with 3 men facing decades behind bars.
Karen, because of its busy River North location, especially on the weekends, there were already police officers in the area when the shooting happened. So they were able to take one person into custody within minutes. But investigators are telling us that while they continue to question this person, they do not believe that he was the shooter, and they are still looking for 2 more people.
Right now, I'm disgusted. Quite frankly, what we know about this incident so far is it's really disgusting.
Officer John Rivera was 23 years old. On the force just 2 years, it was his teenage dream to join CPD, but his close friends say he was so much more than just a cop.
He was funny, he was sweet, he was considerate, he cared so much about other people. He made sure that everybody had a safe ride home. He made sure that everybody was good and okay. He's somebody that I thought I would have in my life forever, that you always think you're gonna have, because he was that rock to so many people.
Police, meanwhile, vowing to find whoever killed Officer Rivera, going through what they describe as a huge amount of surveillance video, both public and private, in their effort to connect the dots. The off-duty police officer was, according to investigators, in River North early Saturday morning with 3 friends, including a second off-duty officer. They had just left a nearby sports bar and had gotten into this Honda Accord parked about a block away at Clark and Huron when, according to detectives, at least 3 unknown men walked up to the car and, without exchanging words, one of them pulled out a gun and began firing. Rivera was shot multiple times, as was his backseat passenger.
We have very good video of this heinous attack, and detectives are working right now to trace the movements of these offenders. Mark my words, we will find them.
And again, police continuing to question a person of interest here while going through a very large amount of surveillance video. As for that second person who was injured in the shooting along with Rivera, he is in critical condition at Northwestern Memorial Hospital.
It started with a fight, loud, chaotic, and pointless. 2 men, Manelik Jackson and Jaquan Washington, clashed with a group of Hispanic men outside the Rock and Roll McDonald's in downtown Chicago. Witnesses said fists flew, insults were shouted, and then the men vanished into the night, still burning with anger. But Jackson wasn't done. He wanted revenge, fast, reckless revenge. An hour later, as the city settled, Jackson and Washington wandered the streets, searching for their rivals. That's when they ran into Jovan Battle, a homeless man, a self-proclaimed member of the Gangsta Disciples, or the GDs. Battle didn't know about the fight, but when Jackson mentioned he was GD too, Battle offered to help, and that one decision would change everything.
Sources tell CBS 2 police are working overtime to find out who killed Officer John Rivera. At least 12 detectives are assigned to the case. CBS 2's Tim McNicholas joins us live from near the crime scene in River North. And Tim, we've learned a little more about the events leading up to the shooting.
Yeah, that's right. My sources say 2 groups were fighting in River North early this morning. People from one group went looking for people from another group. They stumbled upon Officer John Rivera and his friends. Now, according to sources, the shooter may have thought Rivera was someone else. The city of Chicago lost an officer.
He was the last person in the world to deserve this.
And Julian Martinez lost one of his best friends. He says he met John Rivera in the 1st grade. They grew up together on the south side in Hegewisch.
All I keep asking myself is why. Like, why him? Like he would never do anything. He was the perfect person.
We've got a person shot coming in as a 10-1. It's an off-duty officer that shot.
Chicago police say Rivera and his friends had left a bar in River North and were sitting in a car around 3:30 a.m. Investigators say 2 men approached the car near Clark and Huron and started shooting.
This appears to be an unprovoked attack against a group of individuals who went out to unwind on a Friday night.
Why? Why?
Hegwish barber Nico Castillo says Rivera was a friend who wouldn't hurt a fly.
One of those situations that some people ask, oh, well, do you think he could have been having altercations with anybody? From my point of view, from knowing him, I don't think so.
Police say Rivera had just wrapped up a shift around 10 o'clock Friday.
Great cop, even better friend.
Martinez says he's also friends with another off-duty officer who was in the car and was not shot. He says he was planning on going out with the group, but his girlfriend felt sick.
I probably would have been in that car with them, and God knows where I would be right now. Whether dead, shot, still alive, or traumatized.
Martinez says he is also friends with another person who is with the group who was shot. He says that person is up and talking but still at the hospital. Police say they are questioning one person. That person is not a suspect. They're also reviewing surveillance video.
Battle was sleeping in the doorway of a nearby hotel when the 2 men approached. He told investigators later that he thought Jackson and Washington were his brothers, fellow members of the set. So when he saw a car filled with young Hispanic men nearby, or what he thought were Hispanic men, he pointed. "This the car you looking for?" he said, but it wasn't. Inside sat Officer John Rivera, his girlfriend Sarah Garcia, and 2 friends, Ruben Sierra and Jack Hightower. None of them gang affiliated, just 4 friends on a night out. Seconds later, Jackson walked toward the car, gun drawn. He opened the driver's side door and fired. The first bullet shattered the window. The next ripped through the night. Inside, panic erupted. Officer Rivera leaned over his girlfriend, trying to shield her from the gunfire. Sierra was hit, a bullet that would remain lodged in his neck for life. By the time the smoke cleared, Rivera was motionless. He'd taken multiple rounds. His final act, one of protection. The shooters fled into the darkness, disappearing as quickly as they came. But in the heart of River North, Chicago had just lost one of its own, a young officer barely 2 years into his service. Within days, detectives traced the murder back to the McDonald's fight. Surveillance footage pieced the story together, the fight, the wandering, and the tragic mix-up. It led them straight to Manelik Jackson, Jaquan Washington, and Jovan Battle.
A man charged with murdering an off-duty Chicago police officer in March has chosen to represent himself at trial. So today, he took part in picking a jury for his case.
WGN's Megan Dwyer is live at the criminal courthouse with more. Megan.
Ben and Lourdes, despite a history of mental health issues and homelessness, the judge in this case is allowing this defendant to represent himself. Today, he questioned potential jurors, asking them sometimes bizarre questions like, have you ever been out downtown Chicago between the hours of 1 in the morning and 6 in the morning? And what is your perception of people who have face tattoos?
32-year-old Jovan Battle is facing murder charges for his role in a shooting that killed 23-year-old off-duty police officer John Rivera. Police say Rivera was sitting in his car with friends in River North on March 23rd when a group of gang members opened fire on them. While 3 people were charged in that murder, police say Battle, who was not armed that night, encouraged the shooters to fire. Police say they have him on pod camera video pointing at Rivera's car and saying, quote, blow those bees. Prosecutors say the shooters were looking for revenge after getting into a fight outside a nearby McDonald's earlier in the night, but they targeted the wrong car of people. A judge in the case recently ordered Battle to have a psychiatric evaluation. He was found fit to stand trial if medicated. He is now representing himself after firing his public defender. His court file is full of nonsensical handwritten motions. Today, dressed in a suit coat, he walked into court with a single disheveled file full of papers. The bailiff had to keep reminding him to put his hands behind his back while in front of the judge, even though he's acting as his own attorney. He repeatedly asked the judge what certain phrases meant and questioned every move prosecutors made.
They just wrapped up picking the jury about 30 minutes ago. Trial will officially begin tomorrow afternoon.
Battle was arrested first. He didn't fire the gun, but prosecutors said he was the catalyst. Without him pointing that car out, there would have been no shooting. At first, Battle tried to defend himself, literally. He represented himself in court, pacing in front of the jury, untrained, unstable, and broken. Later, he hired a lawyer, but by then, the damage was done.
Right now, about an hour ago, Chicago police announced charges against 2 people in the murder of off-duty Chicago police officer John Rivera. CBS 2's V Wynn is live at Area Central with our first look at those suspects. Good morning, V.
Good morning, Aaron. Police arrested and charged 2 men overnight for their role in the shooting death of off-duty Chicago police officer John Rivera. They're accused of firing those fatal shots into his car in River North early Saturday morning. Now take a look. These mug shots just came into our newsroom of 24-year-old Menelik Jackson from South Holland and 32-year-old Javon Battle from Chicago. Both are facing several charges, including 1 count of first-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. They were arrested overnight around 3:25 yesterday. Dozens of people paid their respects as Rivera's body was being escorted from the medical examiner to the funeral home. Friends describe him as a great person and a great officer. The 23-year-old had only been on the force for less than 2 years. He served at the 6th District, and police say he was working Friday. Video shows him at a murder scene near 84th and Sangamon during the day, but his life came to a tragic end early Saturday morning. Rivera and 3 of his friends had just left a bar and were sitting in their parked car near Clark and Huron when a gunman approached and started shooting. Sources tell CBS 2 News the gunman may have thought that he was someone else. The superintendent calling the shooting unprovoked and random. Now this morning we should learn new details about the arrest and those charges this morning at 11 a.m. from the superintendent. The press conference will be held at CPD headquarters.
During sentencing, Javon Battle, 34 years old and homeless, stood before the judge. "I just want to say to the family that I'm sorry," he said quietly. The courtroom fell silent. Rivera's family sat still, faces pale with grief. Judge Michael Clancy didn't hesitate. Battle was sentenced to 65 years, 50 for the murder, 10 for aggravated battery, and 5 more for aggravated discharge. He wasn't the shooter, but in the judge's words, he was the reason Officer Rivera was killed. Years later, the gunman himself, Menelik Jackson, faced trial. Prosecutors painted him as violent, impulsive, and dangerous. His defense called him broken, a man born into chaos, consumed by the streets. But the jury saw the truth in the evidence, the gun, the footage, the blood on the street. Jackson was found guilty and sentenced to 90 years in prison. Rivera's friend, Ruben Sierra, who barely survived the attack, wrote, "Your thirst for vengeance injured innocent people." Rivera's mother, standing before the court, said only this: "Our family has been left with immense sadness that will never go away."
The last of 3 defendants is sentenced today for an unprovoked attack on an off-duty officer in 2019. Dozens of Chicago police officers accompanied the family of a fallen officer to the Layton Criminal Courthouse. Today, the man convicted of shooting Officer John Rivera was sentenced. Menelik Jackson was convicted as the gunman in a trial last year. Today, a Cook County judge sentenced him to 90 years in prison. In 2019, Officer Rivera was off-duty with friends in River North when he and his friends were targeted mistakenly. Rivera was 23 years old and had been with CPD just shy of 2 years. He died trying to shield his friends from the bullets. 3 men were charged in the case. Today, Menelik Jackson was sentenced to 90 years for firing the shots at Rivera and his friends. Last year, Jaquan Washington was sentenced to 13 years for his part in the murder. And in 2021, Jovan Battle was sentenced to 65 years for mistakenly pointing out Rivera and his friends as rivals from another incident. In court today, Rivera's friend, who survived several bullet wounds, Ruben Sierra, wrote in a victim impact statement about Jackson, "Your thirst for vengeance injured innocent people." Rivera's mother read her statement in court, saying in part, "Our family has been left with immense sadness that will never go away." Jackson spoke on his own behalf, apologizing to the victims, their families, and dozens of officers present in court, saying, "I am eternally sorry for my actions." The judge said he considered all the evidence and information, including Jackson's challenging life that began before he was born, before issuing the 90-year sentence. Rivera's mother, other family, and friends declined to comment today. Jackson's attorneys said in court an appeal is likely.
3 men now sit behind bars. Jackson, 90 years. Battle, 65. Washington, 13. All for one tragic mistake. The wrong car, the wrong faces, and the thirst for vengeance that spiraled into murder. In the end, the streets they claimed loyalty to took everything from them, and the city lost a young officer who never saw it coming. At Officer Rivera's funeral, hundreds of Chicago police officers lined the streets, their badges draped in black, the sound of bagpipes carried through the wind. He'd be on the force for less than 2 years, but in that brief time, he'd earned respect, love, and admiration.
A solemn scene. Chicago police officers carrying the casket of one of their own. Officer John Rivera was laid to rest today. He was shot and killed while off duty in River North. CBS 2's Tim McNicholas spoke to Rivera's former partner, who shared memories of his friend.
That sound, it's a sound Officer Nate Smith has already heard too many times for fallen officers.
He was a little brother to me.
But now those bagpipes are honoring a man who was his partner.
As if he was my blood brother.
Smith says Rivera was a happy guy, eager to learn.
Didn't have an ego about him.
They used to open up about career goals while they patrolled Auburn Gresham.
I know he wanted to be a detective, and that was really his goal, but outside that, he said as long as he was making a difference, he was fine with his job.
Dozens of people lined the streets near 112th and Ewing before the funeral. Friends say Rivera was the kind of guy who always looked out for other people. Police say in his final moments, he leaned over and shielded his girlfriend from gunfire.
That just speaks volume to who John was as a person.
Smith says he remembers riding back with Rivera from Officer Samuel Jimenez's funeral. Jimenez was killed after a gunman opened fire at Mercy Hospital.
We said to each other in that moment, how would you want to go out? And we both said as long as we go out being a hero, then we're okay with that.
Smith and other officers now wear wristbands to honor Rivera. He says the CPD family is ready to help out Rivera's family however they can.
I hope that when people said to them, we're going to be there for you, we're going to do all this, I hope they mean that. And I said not only the days, the weeks, and months and years to come after, they're still there for his family.
Tim McNicholas, CBS 2 News.
CPD also posted a heartfelt letter from Officer Smith on Twitter. He said Rivera was not just a partner, but one of the best friends he ever had.
Rivera died trying to protect the people he cared about. A final act of courage that defined who he was and who we lost. Because sometimes, in a city haunted by violence, even heroes can be mistaken for enemies. Alright, y'all, there y'all have it, man. That's the sad story of Officer Rivera getting, mistaken as an op by some GDs, and one of them was homeless. Hey, man, get in that comment section. Let me know what y'all think, man. Drillers and trappers, we outside trapping and drilling 247. Don't go nowhere. Watch that next video. Gang!